Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pop Culture Piggies, where we talk about all things sports, TV, movies, and pop culture. Today, I am here on my own to talk about my first love, reality TV, and specifically the season 50, the 50th season of Survivor, which is just around the corner. And what I want to do today is go through all the contestants of the past 25 years and highlight who I think could, should, and will be on the cast of season 50. Now, we do know that Jeff Probst has recently said they are going to go back to as early as season 1. So for the OG fans, we can look forward to certainly some older faces and some faces we may not have seen in quite some time. So super excited. I've been speculating. I know a lot of other fans have been speculating on who might be popping up there. So you'll see I put 5 main categories: the locks, leaning yes, in the mix, which will most likely be the biggest category, the unlikely, but you're saying there's a chance, and they'll be asked, but they will say no. For anyone else that is kind of irrelevant to the history of Survivor, that doesn't even warrant much of a conversation, with all due respect to them, I'm going to leave them off of here so it doesn't get too cluttered. But I think this will be a fun exercise, and I'm probably going to be way off, but I'll touch on some of my faves as well. But super excited to be doing this. Now, naturally, we're going to start with Survivor Borneo. The one person that stands out here as a will be asked, but will certainly say no, is Colleen. So I'm going to go ahead and put her there. We have Jervis, who I think is interesting. If they're looking for someone from Borneo, I do think he is potentially the most likely person to say yes. So I'm going to put him in the mix. Greg is someone that we've all been waiting to see back for quite some time. There have been some rumors. I'm going to put Greg as unlikely, but you're saying there's a chance. This one would really be quite the eye popper for fans. I think Gretchen would be fun. I just don't know how realistic that is. Jenna Lewis, we've seen back. I think we're probably done with Jenna Lewis, but I'm going to put her as unlikely. Kelly Wigglesworth, I mean, they brought her back for second chances and it was a bit underwhelming. So I think we're done there. Richard is super interesting. He was not asked back for Winners at War, but this is season 50. And if they're trying to go all the way back to season 1, he would make a lot of sense. He was on House of Villains just about a year ago. I'm going to say unlikely as well, but you're saying there's a chance. We don't know if there'll be winners included. I'm kind of assuming there will not be winners, but I think just Rich being the first winner, I mean, I'm just going to keep him there for now. I think for Borneo, that is probably it. Sue Hawk, I mean, we know how things ended with her on All Stars, so I don't see that being an option. So yeah, these are the 5 I'm looking at for Borneo. Now, moving on to the Outback, we've seen a number of these people return already. Alicia, I would love to see back. I believe she did an interview with RHAP in the last couple of years, and she said she never would come back. So I'm going to leave her off. I think Amber would be super interesting without Rob. But we did just see her on Winners at War, and I do think the story is probably wrapped up. I'm going to put Alicia and Amber both as will be asked, but will say no. Colby, to me, I'm looking at Colby as someone they might actually want to bring back, and I don't necessarily think he would shut it down. I'm gonna put him in the mix, and if they can't get any of these season 1 people, I think Colby being kind of the face of the most watched season makes a lot of sense. Um, so I'm going to keep her there. Elizabeth, I mean, she's saying no, but I wouldn't be shocked if she was asked. Jeff Varner is a no. Jerry, I also am going to put with Colby as in the mix. I think, I mean, we've only seen them on seasons together. I think Jerry's still active enough in the community, and I do think she would do it. I'd personally love to see her on Traders. But I wouldn't be shocked if she popped up as one of the OG faces. Okay, Kimmy, I think we've seen enough from her second stint. Scoopin, that's a no, unless there's a prison survivor. Tina, who was absolutely robbed of a spot on season 40, being the first female winner, the winner of the most watched show. I think she would certainly do it. She's unfortunately getting up there in age. Again, I'm sure she's in great shape, and all due respect to her, I'm going to say unlikely, but there is a chance. And I believe that is all for the Australian outback. I'm really looking at Colby and Jerry there as kind of the big OG faces. And I'm going to actually make this an order of likelihood. I'm going to put Colby and Jerry ahead of Jervis. I'm going to put Rich and Tina ahead of Jenna. I'll leave Will Be Asked, but we'll say no, just in order of seasons. But moving on to Africa, this one's interesting. I think Clarence would be really fun. I don't know how likely he is to be asked. I believe he was the merge boot of Africa. So I'm going to put him as unlikely, and I'm going to put him actually ahead of Rich, but below Greg and Tina. Ethan, we saw back on 40. I think he's probably done with the show. I wouldn't be shocked if he was asked, but I don't expect to see him there if we get winners at all. I think there's a number of additional other winners that would be placed before him. Let's see who else we can pencil in from Africa. I think Kelly would be really fun. She's not super active. You don't hear her name pop up. So I'm going to leave her off just so we don't over clutter this. Lex is certainly someone that will pop up in conversations. I'll put him in the mix below Jervis. Just because Jervis has that Borneo bump, and I do think they'll try to get someone from Borneo on there. And if they can't get Greg and Colleen, I do think naturally Jervis would be someone that makes a lot of sense. All right, who else do we have in Africa? Lindsay would be fun, but I don't see it happening. T-Bird is certainly someone in the mix. She was in the mix for Second Chance. She is very active in the community. I'm actually going to put her the top of in the mix for now. Tom is a little bit past his prime, unfortunately. So I think that's all for Africa, with T-Bird and Lex being the two most likely. Now, moving to the Marquesa, a few interesting ones here. I think John Carroll sticks out for sure. It's very much disappointing and a shock that he hasn't come back yet. I know he would love to come back, so I'm going to put him in the mix just from name recognition. I have to put him at the end of in the mix for now. But I would love to see it. Nalia, sorry, let's not skip over Kathy. Kathy would be awesome if we could see her again. But again, up there in age, I don't know if necessarily that's the route they're going to take. Just out of respect for Kathy, I'm going to put her as will be asked, but we'll say no or not be able to do it. Nalia, I know she really wants to get back out there. I think it's a lot of people in that kind of archetype that would probably get the call over her. So I'm going to leave Nalia off. The big two are Sean Rector, who will certainly... Oh, sorry. How could I forget? Boston Rob. Boston Rob will most definitely be asked. If you believe what he says, he's done with Survivor. He's had the full experience. I'm going to take him for his word. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw him at a reunion or a special, or if they did something kind of unique where they brought out winners or legends to host a challenge or do something on the island to commemorate the series. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw him there. But because it is Boston Rob, I'm actually going to put him as unlikely, but you're saying there's a chance. And I'm going to put him ahead of Rich. Sean Rector, the number one person I want to see back. I think it is long overdue, similar to John Carroll. The one difference is I think there's more momentum for Sean, and I'm actually going to put Sean as my first leaning yes. I think they want to have old school representation. They want to have diversity in casting. He is both of those right there. And he is just such a slam dunk choice where he is super entertaining. He is still seemingly in great shape, and he's been active in the community. So I think Sean should be there. And I think he will be there. And I hope I am right. Vesepia, again, should have been on season 40. The fact that she wasn't, these people that weren't on season 40, I just find it hard to believe that they'll now get a spot on season 50 when there's 10 more seasons to go off of. And there's so many all-star caliber players that are not winners that weren't eligible for 40. So I'm going to put her right around Tina. I'm going to put her a little bit below Tina, unfortunately. Now, Survivor Thailand, this will be a quick one because I don't see anyone from Survivor Thailand making the cut. I mean, Brian Heidick wasn't on All Stars. I believe he was asking for too much money. He wasn't on Winners at War, so we can rule him out. Other than Brian, the only people on Thailand that would even warrant a discussion, in my opinion, would be Helen, who at this point in her life she was 47 on Thailand, so she is pushing 70. So that is not going to happen. Xian is interesting. So Xian would be almost 50. So certainly at an age where she could do it. I'm going to put her as unlikely, but you're saying there's a chance. And that is really it for Thailand. The Amazon, one of my personal favorite seasons. Someone like Alex would be a fun return. I do worry there's a lot of competition with that archetype as well as kind of the OG golden boy. So I don't think he'll be in the mix. Christy would be another one where we actually just saw her pop up on season 48 in a brief flashback. So that would be fun. Again, I don't see it happening, but a few that I think would warrant more of a conversation. Dina, let me look at her age. Dina should be about 55 right now. And again, certainly capable. I don't necessarily think she's going to be directly in the mix, but I'm going to say there's a chance she gets that call. It would be a big throwback. I will put her around Jenna Lewis and Sheehan, but I personally would love to see Dina back. Heidi, similar boat. Actually, Heidi, I think, would be more likely to get the call, but also more likely to say no to the call. So I'm going to put Heidi in will be asked, but will say no. Jenna, similar as Tina Vesepia. She was one of the younger winners, so she's probably in her mid 40s right now. And I think she would love to play again. I would love to see it, but I'm going to put her below Tina and Vesepia. And last but certainly not least, for the Amazon, we have Rob C., which he should be there. It would be so fun to see everything that he's learned and all the connections he's made, how it would play out on the island, and whether he would be a massive threat or he would be able to kind of skate by through those alliances. I know that he would be willing to do it. He said so on his podcast a number of times. I want to say leaning yes, because we do want to get some OGs in there. I'm going to put him in leaning yes for now. And God, it would be so fun. All right. Moving on to Pearl Islands. Now, this is my number one favorite season. And start things off, Savage. I mean, we saw him back on Second Chance. He's friends with Probes. It wouldn't be shocking if he got the call. He would certainly say yes. I don't think there's much more to the story. I think he was actually a really underrated part of Second Chances. I'm going to put him as unlikely, but you're saying there's a chance, and I'll put him right around Clarence. Yeah. Burden, I also would love to see back. And to me, Burden is kind of a similar to Alex, what I was talking about with Amazon, where he's like the golden boy OG. I'm sure he's in great shape now. I think he's more likely than Alex to be on the cast. I still think it's unlikely. I'll put him ahead of Savage, ahead of Clarence, but I'll put him below Greg and the three female winners. Okay. Dara would be fun. Lil. Johnny Fairplay is interesting. I view him as similar as a Richard Hatch. I mean, he has had a rocky relationship with production over the past, and he says they have mended fences. I still think it's probably unlikely. I'll put him a little bit ahead of Rich, but I do think it's unlikely. Rupert, I mean, there's always a chance. I'm going to put Rupert in the mix squarely. I think he is someone that is just so recognizable that if they can get him on the cast, I think that is going to warrant serious consideration. I will put him right in between Jerry and Jervis. And I would not be shocked by any means if Rupert was there. Sandra, again, always in the mix. If winners are called, I think she's someone that probably says yes. She's still actively in the reality world since Winners at War, has appeared on 2 shows, I believe. I probably think if winners are called, she is one of the most likely. I'm going to put her at the top of in the mix. Now, again, if we find out that there are no winners, that will most definitely change. But this is just my list for now. And I believe that's all for the Amazon. Oh, sorry, for Pearl Islands. Now on to Survivor. Oh, we can skip All Stars. Survivor Vanuatu. Uh, Amy, start things off with a real good one. I think Amy is someone that will deserve a call. I think she will get a call. Um, I am going to put her squarely in the mix. I think she's more likely than John, but I do think Lex and Jervis are probably more likely than her. So I'm going to slide her in right there. Um, Another person I think is in the mix would be, I don't think Chris is in the mix, unfortunately. I don't believe Probst is a big fan. I think Eliza is the only other person that we can seriously consider here. I think she would say yes. I think Eliza's super active. I'm going to put Eliza actually ahead of Amy. Um, and then to go, Julie, it would be great to see her back, but the fact that she actually dated Jeff Probst for a few years, I think that might rule her out. And it's not really anyone else here. Twyla would have been great if we could have got her back on a Heroes Villains, but you know, yeah, 15 years later, it's going to be tough. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. For Survivor Palau, there are a few good options here. I think Kobe is someone that would be really fun. He's active in the community still. I think it's probably unlikely. I definitely think him and John Carroll would fit certainly a similar role on the cast as kind of the OG LGBT representation. I'm going to put him as unlikely, but you're saying there's a chance. I could see him getting an initial call, but I just unfortunately think it's probably unlikely. Someone I think is definitely getting a call is Ian, who I'm sure has gotten plenty of calls over the last 20 years. I recall him also saying that he would do the show again, but I believe his criteria was if it was the last season of the show. Now, the fact that he's even willing to entertain it, I do wonder if the big round 50 number would be enough to convince him. I'm going to put him in the mix at the end of in the mix because I think it is kind of hovering more on the unlikely side that he would even say yes. But I'm an Ian fan and I want to see how he is 20 years later. Let's see. Anyone else in Palau? I think Katie would be fun, but she's in production, so I don't think that would be legitimate. One person I actually am convinced is going to be on the cast. I'm not going to put them as a lock. I think most of the locks will be newer school people, but I think Stephanie is. I'm leaning yes, and I'm going to put her ahead of Rob. I think the fact that we've seen Stephanie pop up on shows like Traders and Snake in the Grass, it shows that she's willing to do Survivor. I think I believe she said it as well. She is someone that was a face of the first 15 or 10 years of the show. And I think that's someone that they would love to be able to pull back in. And if she's willing to do it, I think it will warrant serious consideration. Tom was not on 40. So again, I'm going to put him kind of in there with the three women that were not on 40 as probably unlikely as someone like Tom. You would imagine if he was willing to do it or physically able to do it, he would have done it. So I'm going to put him as unlikely, but never say never. Wanda has no shot, but would be awesome. Maybe she can do a song at the reunion. So yeah, that's it for Plow. Now we're on to season 11. Season 11, Guatemala. This one will probably be pretty quick too. I think some fun potential names. Brian Gordon. I know a lot of people wanted to see him back. It's probably not going to happen. I'm going to put him as unlikely, but you're saying there's a chance. Danny, we saw back, left a lot to be desired, unfortunately. Gary would be fun, but I mean, he's got to be in his late 60s, so I think it's unlikely as well. Judd would be an all-time comeback there. I probably don't think he'll be asked. I'll put him as unlikely just for the shits and gigs. And then, do we have anyone else from Guatemala? Rafe is the one that I think is probably most likely. I still think it's unlikely. I know he's got a career as a writer. He's pretty big in Hollywood, so I don't think it's super likely there, but I think it's most likely he would be the one to get the call. So for that alone, I'll put him ahead of the other Guatemala guys. I'll put him ahead of Kobe and Xi'an and Dina, but I think I'll put him below Jenna just for that, again, Borneo bump there. So I think it's probably unlikely. All right. Now on to Panama, where I think we'll see a few more names that deserve some consideration. I mean, starting things off, let's start off with Aris, the winner. Wasn't on 40. I don't think he wants to do the show again. I don't think he if he didn't want to do 40, he says he doesn't want to do it now. I'm going to take his word for it. I'll put him as maybe get a call. Probably won't get a call, but let's put him as will be asked, but we'll say no. Suri, I think Suri would say yes. I think she's going to be one of their top. She would normally be one of the top choices. Problem with Suri is she is going to be appearing on Australian Survivor this year, and I don't know if there's any sort of contract issues. I'm going to assume that if they want her for 50, they'll get her for 50. I'm going to put her as leaning yes, and I'm going to put her at the top of leaning yes. I think Suri is just, she could be on the show 50 times and people would still love her. So Suri, to me, is kind of a no-brainer if she's able to do it. All right. Now, who else from Panama? Captain of Sports, Danielle. I think maybe gets a call. Probably won't do it. Let's put her as unlikely, but you're saying there's a chance. I'm going to put her at the bottom of that because I definitely don't think it's super likely. All right. Now we have Shane Powers, I think, will be the next one we'll talk about here. He was in the mix a number of times. He was in the mix for Micronesia. He was in the mix for Heroes Villains, got cut last minute for Russell. He was in the mix again for Blood vs. Water, I believe, with his son, but he said no. And then he got cut in Second Chances. So he's clearly on the minds of producers. I think he was very soured by not getting voted on, rightfully so. So I don't know necessarily if he will want to do it. I'm going to put him in the mix, though. I think that would be a huge get, too. I'm going to put him right below Lex. Yeah, I think that's a good spot for Shane. And then lastly, Terry. Terry is someone I was super excited to see back on Second Chances. Obviously, he left in pretty heartbreaking fashion, and I was honestly surprised we didn't see him come back on Game Changers, which I guess would have been the only opportunity. So I guess not super surprising. Terry, right now, let's see, how old would Terry be? So Terry would be in his mid 60s. I mean, he looked great on Second Chances, which was, I guess, oh, wow, 10 years ago now. I'm going to put him as unlikely, but there's a chance. I'm going to put him ahead of Savage. Um, yeah, let's put him ahead of Savage. I think there's more there than with Savage right now, and if he's willing to do it, I think he's probably got a better shot there. Now let's talk Cook Islands. Okay, Cook Islands. Yeah, Billy Garcia, I don't see that happening. Candace is someone I could see. I could definitely see her being in the mix. Now, yeah, let's put her in the mix. I think she's probably, I mean, she would fit a similar vibe as Eliza. I think she is actually probably more likely than Eliza. So let's put her there. Okay. Cowboy would be an awesome return. I just don't see that happening. I would love it. He would be one of the people I would personally choose. I would definitely lean more towards the kind of OGs, but because I think at best it'll be half and half. I think Cowboys probably not going to get much consideration, but we got 3 big ones or 4 big ones here. Penner, I think Penner is actually likely to at least get the final call. I think the fact that he's this iconic character that's played in different eras of the show. He also has this great story, which we saw unfold through Yule on Winners at War with his late wife. I think they would definitely welcome him back with open arms. I'm going to put him. I'm going to put him in between Sean and Stephanie. I think we could very, very easily see Penner come back for round 4. Ozzy, I think Ozzy, you have to put him in the mix. I think we've probably seen all there is to see with Ozzy. And if you follow him on Twitter, you've probably seen a little too much. So I'm going to put him, I'll put him around Shane and Lex. Actually, I'm going to put him in between Candace and Eliza. I think probably not going to happen for round 5 of Ozzy, but it wouldn't shock me because it is Ozzy. Parvati, it doesn't seem like she wants to be doing it. She's got a million other shows that she can do. She'll be asked for everything. I think Parvati is probably done with Survivor proper. I'm going to put her same situation as Rob. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw her in some capacity. I don't think she'll be a player on the season, though. I'd say Rob is probably a little bit more likely than Parvati, but because, again, there's such big names, like you can't completely rule it out. I'd just be pretty shocked. Yule, I think someone probably gets a call, probably shuts it down pretty quickly. So let's put Yule there. Yule is another one I would love to see on Traders, by the way. All right, we're at 34 minutes. We'll try to speed through some of these here. All right, now let's go to Survivor Fiji. I think the 2 people, or there's a few people actually, a couple that really stand out. I mean, start off Dreams. I think Dreams is someone that again really should have been back. The fact that Dreams has not gotten a second chance with how his story ended is really a shame. I think I'm not going to put him as leaning yes. He is someone I think for like narrative purposes would be one of the top gets. I'm going to put him probably ahead of John Carroll. Uh, Earl is a winner. I think he was asked, but couldn't do 40 for work obligations. I know he's been in the mix a few times. I think he's one of the more likely winners to pop up. I'm going to put him between Rupert and Jervis. Okay. Now, one that I would love to see back, it's probably unlikely, but oh man, it would be so fun, is Michelle E. Um, she would be perfect for a season like this where it's like she was 23 when she filmed, so she's in her early 40s now. And it would just be awesome to get a throwback like that because those are always the most gives you the most to think about. I'm gonna put her as unlikely, but you're saying there's a chance. I'll put her. Um, let's put her around where Jenna Lewis is. Again, probably wishful thinking, and maybe she shouldn't even crack the list, but I would be here for it, so I'm going to put her there. Stacy is someone that would be fun. Again, I don't really see it. I think Michelle would be slightly more likely. Yao Man, fortunately, a little up there. He's in his 70s, and I don't know how his health is. Wishing him the best, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be a trip to Fiji here. Okay, moving on to Survivor China. Amanda Kimmel is someone that is still talked about, but has kind of disappeared from social and the Survivor worlds. I get this weird feeling that she would take that call and accept it. And I mean, she's certainly still in great shape, I would imagine. I'm going to put her squarely in the mix. I think she's right along with Jerry and Rupert. So I'll put her there. She's a little bit less of a figure than those two in the community. So I'll put her just below Jerry and Rupert. All right. Now, Chicken Dam would be fun, but that ain't happening. Courtney, I think, would be asked. I think she'll say no. She's someone that would be an awesome returner as well, but yeah, I just don't see that happening, sadly. So let's put Courtney there. James, I similar to Amanda, like I get the vibe that they would call him just based off of his like face and name recognition, and I don't necessarily think he would say no. Now I don't know anything about this guy, but I'm gonna put him in the mix. I'll put him. Let's put him. I'm gonna put him ahead of Ozzy. I think they would want him more than Ozzy, and I don't know. I just get a weird vibe that he might say yes. All right. Now, PG, I think, is someone that's probably unlikely. I mean, we saw her come back already, but and was a short stay, unfortunately. I'll put her at the bottom of unlikely, but there's a chance. And then Todd. So Todd is a big one. I think Todd is certainly someone that's been in the mix. I mean, he's got a great story as well. I mean, he's in recovery and seemingly doing really well. I think that's something they might want to be able to highlight. And I think if he's willing to do it, it's certainly an option. I'm going to put him right. I'm going to put him right ahead of Earl. Yeah, let's put him ahead of Earl. And I think that's it for China. The Micronesia fans versus favorites. I mean, we've already gone through the favorites, so just do a quick overview of the fans. I think Eric is probably unlikely, and the only other one is, of course, Natalie Bolton. Natalie Bolton's someone everyone wants back. I think she's certainly in the mix. I know people would like to see her kind of be a lean yes or lock. At the end of the day, I just don't see them casting her over someone like and Amy, Eliza. Um, so for that reason, I've got to put her. I think she would say yes, whereas I don't know if Ian would. So I'm going to put her ahead of Ian. And that's it for. I know Stacy would be fun, but I don't see that happening. All right, Survivor Gabon. Right, we've got Bob. That's a no, unfortunately. Corinne. I mean, we've seen her come back. I think that's someone that might get a call. I'm gonna put her as unlikely. There's a chance I'll put her right over there. Crystal. Crystal is someone I would also love to see back. But I don't necessarily see it happening. Let's put her as, unlikely for sure. Ken, I'm going to put Ken right along there with Crystal. I don't know how Gabon is really viewed amongst production. Randy and Sugar are two of the returnees. I think Randy is probably off the call list, and I think Sugar is probably not getting that call either. I'll put Sugar as unlikely, but there's a chance as well. I'll put the three Gabones together there. But yeah, that's really all there is to say there. Tocantins. Okay. A few people I definitely think will get the call, starting with Coach. I think Coach is squarely in the mix. He's a big figure that's willing to do it. My gut reaction is to put him right around Lex. I think he's probably more likely than Lex. I think he's more likely than Jervis. I'm going to put Coach actually right along there with the Ruperts. I think both of those guys have a pretty decent shot. So, let's throw him over there. Next for Tocantins, I think Sierra would be super fun. I just don't see it happening. I think Steven probably gets an initial call, says no. So let's pluck him right next to his ex-girlfriend, Courtney. Taj, similar, maybe gets the call, definitely says no. Tyson, I think squarely in the mix. I think he says he's done. I don't necessarily believe that. I think we could see him back. He's still super active. He's got his podcast. He's been on other reality shows. So I'll slightly take his word for it, but I'm not going to move him out of in the mix. I'll put him, let's put him towards the bottom of in the mix. And another one, sorry, did I skip over JT? Where is JT? Oh, yeah, JT's hiding over here. I think JT is probably unlikely. However, I think we've probably seen all there is to see. But because of the big name, let's move him a little bit up. Let's put him with Rich. All right. Now, I think that's all for Tocantins. Samoa is going to be super quick. I think the big name that we can really discuss here is certainly Russell. I think Russell probably doesn't get the call. I think they don't want to deal with all that smoke. So I think Russell is someone that's super unlikely. I think he's someone that would definitely love to be there. I'll put him in the category of Fair Play Rich, and let's put those three together: Fair Play Rich and Russell. But unfortunately, I just don't see it happening. Or fortunately, if you're someone like me, anyone else there? I think Shambo is like the big character, but I don't see that. Russell Swan, I don't see that either. So yeah, I think it's really like Russell's like the name you have to look at, but it's probably very, very unlikely. But moving over to Survivor Heroes versus Villains, we can skip. And Nicaragua. A few decent options. I mean, we have Brenda. We've seen twice. I think her story's probably done. I'm going to put her as unlikely as well. Let's put her in that mix with PG and Danielle and Corinne, probably the least likely of the four. So let's throw her over there. And then we've got Jane is a little up there. I do think getting Holly would be fun and maybe not completely out of the realm of possibilities. So I'll put Holly as unlikely as a chance. I think she's probably more likely than a Brenda. So let's put Holly with Dina. You've got to be probably similar ages too. So I think that makes sense. I think Fabio, it's a no. Marty would be fun, but it's probably a no. Nayanka would be awesome, but I don't know if Probes is going to want to bring a quitter in. Let's put Nayanka as very unlikely, but let's give her a chance just because we love Nayanka over here. All right, Redemption Island. So we touched on Rob and Russell. I mean, Andrea is certainly someone in the mix. I mean, they brought her back twice since Redemption. She's probably higher up on the in the mix. I love Andrea. I met her once. She was awesome. I think Andrea is probably up there with an Amanda. I think they'd probably want Amanda more for the nostalgia, but I think Andrea is probably more likely to say yes. So let's put Andrea just ahead of Amanda. All right, Francesca would be awesome, but that ain't happening. Philip, I don't see that happening. So I think that's probably it for, Stephanie Valencia got the call for second chances. I don't think she'll get the call here. It's just too much has gone on since. So I think that's it for Redemption. South Pacific, I mean, the big one we talked about already was Coach. Brandon Hance, we know that's not happening. Cochrane, I mean, we'll be asked, we'll say no. So let's just throw him over there. Dawn, I don't think is getting some serious consideration here. And then we've got Sophie, who actually was one of the standouts of Winners at War, in my opinion. I think she's solely in the mix. I think Sophie's probably willing to do it. She's probably one of the winners that would. I don't know if she's necessarily like top of their list to call back here, but let's put her. I'm gonna put her ahead of Ozzy. She knocked Ozzy out of the game, so let's put her ahead of Ozzy here. All right. Anyone else from there? I mean, I would love to see Stacey Powell and Christine back, but it's probably not realistic. So let's just skip over the rest of South Pacific. And then Survivor One Worlds. Now, this one is not going to be much either. I think Kat got her second chance. I don't see another one coming. Same as Colton. That's definitely not happening. I think Kim is someone that gets the call, probably says no. Monica, I think we're probably done there. I think Sabrina is interesting. I know she was in the mix. I think she's probably at least going to get a phone call. Let's put her below PG, ahead of Brenda. I think Troy Zan is done. So we're good there. And now Survivor Philippines, another awesome season. I think Abby Maria is someone definitely in the mix. Probably pretty high up in the mix too. I know she said she would do it as well. I think she's more likely than Shane, Lex, and yeah, let's put her right below Amanda. All right. Angie Layden. No, but I do love me some cookies. I think Denise was a little underwhelming on Winners at War, so I think the ship has sailed. Malcolm, I think, is definitely not only in the mix. I'm going to put Malcolm as leaning yes, too. It's going to be my fourth leaning yes. I do think it'll be a 20-person cast. They'll probably try to split it up as much as they can, old school, new school. So I think Malcolm is kind of great, kind of a middle school contestant. RC would be fun. I don't see that happening though. So let's leave that there with Philippines. Survivor Karamoan. We've done all the favorites. I don't think any fans are going to be getting the call here. I think the one that would maybe have a shot would be, I was going to say Reynolds, but no, it's not happening. So let's just get through Survivor Karamoan and move over to Blood versus Water. There actually might be a couple here. Starting with Brad Culpepper. I think Brad certainly had a decent showing on or a really good showing on Game Changers. I think he would be game for coming back. So let's put him in the mix. I'll put him ahead of Dreams. Let's put him ahead of let's put him ahead of Ozzy as well. I'll put him below Sophie, ahead of Ozzy. All right. And then Sierra Easton, I think definitely is in the mix. I mean, she did vote out her mom. So if you haven't heard, so if you vote out your mom, you got a chance to be on any monumental season. I'll put her ahead of Candace, ahead of Shane. I think let's put her between Lex and Shane. Split up the bros. And then I think that's it. I don't think Vetus is getting a second chance. Survivor Kagian is arguably the best modern season. And by modern, I mean post 20. I think Bryce is someone like sneakily could get that call. He's one of the most active people in the community. He was one of the people leading the charge for the diversity initiatives. And I think he's in really good standing with production. I'm going to put Bryce as in the mix, surprisingly. I don't think it's necessarily likely if they go with a Legends type of season, but all these seasons have a few that make you scratch your head a little. So I'm going to put Bryce. Let's put Bryce ahead of Dreams and below Amy. I think that's a good spot for Bryce. And then Jatia, I think, would be awesome. I don't see that happening. I think Cass is someone that will certainly be in the mix. I think she is more likely than a Bryce from Kagian. I think she's probably around Sierra. Let's put her between Sierra and Shane. And then we have Sarah Lucina is interesting. I think she probably gets a call, and I think she'll probably say no, to be honest. Spencer, I think very unlikely, just based off of kind of what's going on in his life right now. Tasha, I think, would certainly be game for coming back. I think she deserves a spot in the mix. Probably around, let's put her below Ozzy, ahead of Eliza. And then Tony, of course. Tony is someone similar to a Sandra, where he's going to get the call. Parvati, they're going to get the call. I think Tony's probably a little bit more likely to say yes than a Rob or Parvati. So I'll put him in the mix. Let's put him with Tyson. I think they're probably more on the same page about returning. I think Trish would be great, but unfortunately, I just don't see it. And then Wu, we've already seen come back, so let's leave Wu there. And then San Juan del Sur, a personal favorite of mine. This one, I don't know how likely some of these people are to come back. Drew Christie would be an insane choice and super fun. I think Jeremy is someone that's probably going to say no, but will be asked. So let's just put him there for now. John Mish, I think, is someone I would love to see back, but probably unlikely. Although I will put him, let's put him around like Burden. Actually, let's put him ahead of Burden. Josh, I think would be fun as well. But I do think Reed is probably more likely. Let's put, and I don't see both of them getting the call. I don't think he's exceptionally likely. I'll put him kind of towards the end of unlikely, but there's a chance. All right. And then we've got R.I.P. Keith. Kelly Wentworth is someone that is definitely in the mix. And I'm leaning yes on Kelly. She is just like someone that's going to be super easy for them to market. I think she's a very natural choice here. I'm going to put Kelly right up there with Suri, to be honest. I think we're likely looking at Kelly. Natalie is someone I would love to see back. I think she would do it. Again, the winners part kind of trips me out a little bit, but I'm going to put her pretty high up. Let's put her in kind of the Sandra tier of if they have winners there. I think she's just makes a ton of sense as a third chancer. And that is it for San Juan del Sur. Let's go to the Dirty 30, Worlds Apart. Let's start off with Carolyn. I think Carolyn is squarely in the mix. She would love to do it. So I think Carolyn really got screwed in second chances, but she is someone that's got strategic chops. She's got a physical game. She looks great still. Let's put Carolyn right below Cass. And yeah, that's a good spot for her. I think Jen would be fun. Joe, I don't see that happening anymore. I mean, I'm sure they would have loved to have him back, but some outside of the workplace events have probably taken him out. Mike, I think, is probably unlikely, but let's give him a little bit of a shot here. Let's put him ahead of the bad boys of Fairplay, Richard and Russell. And then Rodney, similar to Joe. I don't see that happening. I think Shireen had her second chance. So yeah, let's move on from Worlds Apart. And we can get into, we can skip Cambodia. So let's move over to Ko Rong. Ko Rong is a really good cast. I think Aubrey is definitely someone that will be in the mix. Probably pretty high in the mix. I think I like her in the Sierra and cast here. Maybe let's put her right ahead of Sierra. Sydney is someone that we all want to see back. I don't know how willing she is to do it. I'm going to put Sydney. I want to put her leaning yes. I just can't. I think Sydney's probably middle of in the mix where I think they would call her for sure and offer her a spot, but she's a bodybuilder and it just might not work out. So I'm going to put her in the middle, just wishful thinking more so than anything. Debbie, I think, had a really fun second shot. I don't know if she's going to get that third. Julia would be fun she was the youngest contestant ever. And now she's probably, is she even 30 yet? Probably not. So it would be fun. I just don't know if there's like the name and face recognition from the majority of the fans. I think Michelle is certainly in the mix. Although she's got a career in the challenge now. I'll put her lower and I'll put her with the Tyson and Tony. Let's put her in the middle of Tyson and Tony. And that's about does it. Ty, I think, is definitely in the mix. To me, Ty is like kind of a modern Rupert in a sense, where just like super lovable. So I'll put him with Rupert. And yeah, let's put him with Rupert and Coach. I'll put him below Coach. All right, Millennials versus Gen X. Adam Klein, I sadly don't think he's getting that call. But I love Adam, and I think he was probably my favorite part of Winners at War. Uh, Brett is an awesome guy. I've met him a few times. He's super cool. David is probably the most likely to get the call. I almost want to put him leaning yes, but I think yeah. Let's put him. Let's put him with the Rupert and Cole. I'm gonna actually put him ahead of Rupert. I think David is someone that will certainly be like heavily in the mix here. Jay, I think would be in the mix if he wasn't on the challenge, and it's probably some of the luster from Survivor is probably worn off. So I'm gonna put him as unlikely, but I'll put him kind of around the Reed and Brenda spots. All right, Figgy, I don't think that's happening. I think Jessica would certainly love the opportunity. Michaela would be fine, but Michaela is, spoiler alert, currently filming the challenge. So I don't think Michaela will be there, but I think she would be someone that would have gotten the call. And maybe she knew that she wasn't going to make the final cast, so she went to go film the challenge instead. Or maybe she'll be back in time. So you know what? For that matter, actually, the challenge probably wouldn't let her do it. So let's keep her off. All right. Let's kind of start wrapping things up here. We get into the new era. Heroes, healers, hustlers. I think Allie Elliott is someone I would have loved to see in a second chance season. This is probably not that. So someone I actually think I'm going to lean yes on is Chrissy. I think Chrissy, especially if there are no winners, I think Chrissy's someone that is not the kind of like stereotypical mom role, but is certainly a mom, would be one of the older people on the cast, but is plenty capable strategically and physically. Devin is someone I think they would probably be interested in seeing again, but I think it's probably unlikely. So let's put him let's put him ahead of Jay. All right. Lauren Rimmer, I think would be fun. So I'm going to put her as, so you're saying there's a chance, but I think it's probably not much of a chance. Let's put her over here. And I think that's it. I don't see Ryan getting the call. Dr. Mike, I'm a big fan of. I don't see him getting the call either. So let's go to Ghost Island. And we've got Chris Noble would be a really fun kind of wild card pick here. Again, I don't really see it happening, but let's put him in unlikely, but you're saying there's a chance. Let's put him a little bit higher because he does like fill a different role where he's like this big, strong dude. And if they have another big, strong dude, kind of even out. So let's put him ahead of, let's put him with John Mish. I think Chris would be fine. Dominic is someone I think is certainly very, very likely. I will put him leaning yes, and I will put him right at the top of the men for leaning yes. Dominic is someone who's due for a second chance and got kind of screwed by them not doing returning seasons for a little while. Now, Donathan, I think, is probably not super in the mix, but put him in unlikely, but you're saying there's a chance. Kellen, I think, is someone, again, probably unlikely, but wouldn't be completely shocking. We'll put her over here with Michelle and Jenna Lewis. I do think Michael Yerger would have had a better shot back then. I think he's like kind of pretty big and influencing and whatnot now, so probably unlikely. I think Wendell is someone that would certainly do it. I'll put him in the mix with kind of the Michelle, Tyson, Tony crew. I'll put him at the top of that because I think he's more wanting to be on Survivor again, or at least do more reality. And I mean, Michelle certainly is doing reality, but on another network. Yeah, and I think that should do it for Ghost Island for sure. David versus Goliath. Now, this is a star-studded cast. I mean, we're gonna get my first couple locks here. I have Angelina as a complete lock. I think she needs to be back there. She would have been back if they had returning seasons that were not all winners. Same goes for Christian. I think Christian and Angelina are both locks. We're probably not going to get more than two people from a single season, so I do think that will be the representation from David versus Goliath. But other people that warrant consideration, I will have to put them as unlikely. Davey, for sure, he would be someone like right at the top of unlikely, honestly. But you're saying there's a chance because I think he would certainly do it. And if they were willing to open things up a little bit, I think he could make the cast. I mean, Gabby would be fun. I think Mike White is someone that gets the call and says no. He's a little busy right now. And Natalie Cole would be awesome, but don't see that happening too. But you can catch her on White Lotus as well. Survivor Edge of Extinction. Yeah, I mean, Chris Underwood would be quite the interesting choice. I don't necessarily see that happening. And who else? I think Lauren O'Connell is like a sneaky option in like the Sierra Dawn Thomas kind of mold where it's like, whoa, really? Like she got the call back of all these people. She's a young, athletic, super attractive woman. And I think they might give that a look. I'm going to put her at the bottom of in the mix, actually. I think that's kind of a surprising one. But another person I think is in the mix, I think, is Reem. I think Reem is a pretty solid choice. And I wouldn't be shocked. I'll put her ahead of Lauren. I'll put her, honestly, I'm going to put her I'll put her between Tasha and Eliza. I think Reem is someone that definitely deserves a callback, and someone I think will certainly be there. I think a lock is Rick Devens. Now, I'm not the biggest Rick fan, but Probes is, I mean, he was the host of the On Fire podcast. He is going to get that call, and it seems like he will say yes. So you can definitely expect Rick to be there. Island of the Idols is tough. I think they're going to try to wash their hands with everything Island of the Idols. I think people like Dean, Elaine are deserving of calls. For all of the deserving people in Island of the Idols, I'm going to put them as unlikely, but you're saying there's a chance. So Dean, Elaine, Jamal, Janet, I think are any other season, like they probably get more consideration. Karishma as well. Really, like not a horrible cast, just a horrible outcome. Yeah, I mean Kelly, obviously. Let's go Lauren and Nora as well. I mean, really, this is not a bad cast. Surprisingly. Okay. But let's move on. I mean, we don't need to spend too much time on season 40. We've already touched on all of that. But let's get over to 41. I mean, I would love to see Danny McRae back, but he is definitely not going to be coming back after the shenanigans that Probes pulled at the merge. I need to see Danny on the challenge again. So I'm hoping for that here. I think Deshaun is someone that definitely is in the mix and probably pretty decently high up in the mix. So I would put him, let's put him ahead of Brad and Ozzy. Erica, I unfortunately don't see. I don't see Evie either. Liana, no. Really the big two are Ricard and Shan. I'm going to put Ricard as leaning yes. I'm going to put him ahead of Rob and Malcolm. And Shan, I'm actually going to put Shan as a lock. I think Shan is going to be there. I think she was really the face of the first season of the new era. So I think she more than deserves a spot. I think Xander is someone that's probably in the conversation. Let's put him at the bottom of in the mix. I just don't think it's super likely. All right. Is that all from 41? Yeah, that is. So moving on to 42, we've got Drea would be fun. I think High is someone that was kind of like a underrated strategic player. Jonathan, I think you have to look at as someone that's heavily in the mix. I think they would love to see him back. Honestly, I'm not a big Jonathan fan. I wouldn't cast him. I think they very well could. I'd put him right near the top. I'd probably put him let's put him below Ty and ahead of Andrea in terms of likelihood. And then I think Marianne, if they have winners there, she's another one that's like right near the top. I'm going to put her in that same tier. Natalie and Sandra, I'll probably put her below them, but she's a no-brainer winner. And I think Omar is probably the most likely from 42 to get cast. And you know what? I'm gonna put Omar in leaning yes at the bottom of leaning yes. I think it's pretty decent chance that we see Omar there. And Mike, of course. Mike is someone I think will be in the mix. A lot of people in his archetype. Let's put him with Brad, who's kind of in that archetype too. Brad is a little bit more. Mike is more of kind of the good cop, but I think pretty similar. So 43. Okay, so 43, we've got 43 is interesting. Cassidy, I think for sure is in the mix. Had a good showing on the challenge as well. I'm tempted to put her as a lock. I'm going to put her as a leaning yes, though. I'm going to put her below Dominic, but I think it's very possible, if not likely, that we see her there. And joining her from 43, I think Cody would have somewhat of a shot. But I think the fact of the matter is they're going to have Jesse there, and I have Jesse as a lock. I think they're not going to put him and Cody together, so I'm going to leave Cody off. I'll put Cody as let's put him as unlikely, but you're saying there's a chance. Carla, I think, is someone as well. It's probably won't get that final call, but she's in the mix. I'll put her lower in the mix. Put her ahead of Ian. All right. And Owen, I think, would be fun. I think it's probably unlikely. Maybe in the mix. Let's put him with Xander at the bottom of in the mix. And I think that's all for 43. Now we're at 44. Okay. 44. I think Noelle is someone that is very, very much in the mix. I think they would love to see her back and continue that story. So I'm going to put her pretty high up. Let's put her with the Aubrey Sierra tier. And yeah, I think that's a good spot for her. I think Carolyn needs to be a lock. You have to have Carolyn there, especially after her traders run. So Carolyn will be there, and they'll make that work. They might be a little upset. I think Carson is someone in the mix. Probably unlikely that they would do both. And then let's see, we've got Matt, probably not. Jam definitely in the mix. I think, again, like if they have winners there, he's going to be heavily considered. And that's probably it for 44. Now let's get to 45. Just got a few more here. Austin, I think probably not. I believe he's dating Jeff Probst niece. So won't see. D is also on Survivor, so I think it's probably is also on the challenge, so it's probably unlikely. I'll put her. I'll just put her with the other winners here, the Parvati and Mike. I would love to see it. Emily Flippin, she apparently is not willing to do it, so I'll take her word on that. She seems pretty dead set on it. Jake, I think, is someone probably unlikely, but wouldn't completely shock me. I think someone much more likely, and this is going to sound weird, I'm actually going to put him as leaning yes, is Caleb, because he didn't even make the jury, I believe, or maybe he was the first juror. Yeah, so I think that's one that I could definitely see happening. And then we've got, I think that's it for 45. 46, I think Charlie is someone that's like, again, he did the podcast with Jeff. He's probably a lock. Then we have Kenzie. I think Kenzie would not do it. I don't even know if she would be asked, but I'm going to put her as will say no. She's just done with it. Q, another lock. He will be there. They need Q there. So expect to see Q. And I think Tiffany is another one that's squarely in the mix. I'd put her right with let's put her a little lower. I'd put her around where Carson is. Let's put her between Ozzy and Carson. So I think that's a good spot there. Oh, and Maria. I missed Maria. Maria, I think, is very, very much in the mix. I think if Charlie's there, they probably want her there. I'd actually, maybe not leaning yes. Let's put her, towards the top of in the mix. And then finally, we have 47. I'm not going to do 48. It's a little too soon for that. I'm sure there will be some people from 48 and maybe a person from 49. But let's do 47 and then call it a day. We've got some good ones from 47. I think the first one that stands out is, certainly we have the winner, Rachel. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if Rachel was called if they have winners. So I'm going to put Rachel right there with the other winners. Probably, I'm going to put her ahead of Marianne and below Natalie. Another one, I think Andy. Andy is a kind of chaotic figure. I think he is someone they would be open to seeing back. And again, recent. I just don't know if it'll be able to overpower some of the legends. So let's put him with Noelle and Aubrey and that kind of tier. And I think that's Genevieve is the other one. We've got Genevieve, I think, is probably more likely than Andy, if I had to guess. So I will put Genevieve, just ahead of Andy slightly. And I am an idiot because I forgot Venus, who I think is definitely in the mix. So apologies. I think Venus is someone certainly right up there. I will put Venus. I'll actually put her ahead of Sydney and Maria. I think she's like a spark plug they would love to see back. Now, to kind of go back to 47. Yeah, that's I think that is what I'm looking at over there. So I think we've got a list here. Now let me just go over everything with y'all. And thanks for anyone that's actually watching this. An hour and 20 minutes about me talking about Survivor. I've seen some of these videos that are kind of 5 hours. Maybe as we get closer, I'll do more of a deep dive. But the people, let's start with will be asked, but we'll say no. Kind of a bit of a pointless tier, but we've got Colleen, Alicia, Amber, Elizabeth, Ethan, Kathy, Heidi, Aris, Yule, Courtney, Stephen, Taj, Cochran, Kim, Sarah, Jeremy, Mike White, Emily Flippin, and Kenzie. So we're going to take those out. And then unlikely, but there's a chance. It's a lot here. I mean, you can take a look, but some pretty big faces there. In the mix, we'll go through the in the mix, leading yes and locks. In the mix, I've got Sandra, Natalie, Rachel, Marianne, Jam, T-Bird, Colby, Jerry, David, Rupert, Coach, Ty, Jonathan, Andrea, Amanda, Abby, Venus. We've got Sydney. We've got Maria. We've got Todd, Earl, Jervis, Lex, Genevieve, Andy, Noelle, Aubrey, Sierra, Cass, Carolyn, Mama C, Yeah Baby, Shane, Candace, James, Sophie. We've got Deshaun. We've got Brad, Mike, Ozzy, Tiffany, Carson. We've got Tasha, Reem, Eliza, Amy, Bryce. We've got Dreams, John Carroll, Natalie, Wendell, Tony, Michelle, Tyson. We've got Carla, Ian, Lauren O'Connell. We've got Owen and Xander. So long list there. And then wrapping it up, we've got the leaning yes, Suri, Kelly Wentworth, Dominic. We've got Cassidy, Sean Rector, Jonathan Penner, Stephanie LaGrossa. We have Ricard, Rob C, Malcolm, Chrissy. We've got Omer, Caleb, and then my locks, Angelina, Christian, Rick Devins, Shan, Jesse, Carolyn, Charlie, and Q. So a lot of my locks are from the newer eras. And if we're looking at it this way, I'm going to shift things around. So it's male, female. I have 3 female locks, 5 male locks. And then if we add the leaning yes, we've got 4, 5. I would have 8 women and 5, 6, 5, 8, 10, 13 men. So something's got to give there. I got to get rid of a few men. I have to get rid of 3 of these men. So for the sake of things here, let's just create a little cast. So let's switch this up to cast. Our cast would be Angelina, Suri, Carolyn, Suri, Cassidy, Kelly Wentworth, Chrissy, Stephanie. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 women, 5 men. So we're going to bring in Dominic, Sean Rector, Penner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's say it's a 20-person cast. Ricard, and we're going to add Rob C. So unfortunately, just missing the cut here would be Malcolm, Omer, and Caleb. And we need how many more women? 2 more women. So if there's winners included, which none of the men are winners. So for the sake of this, let's say there's no winners. We're going to take the next 2 non-winners, which would be, and this is actually perfect because we need some OGs here. It's not, yeah, let's get some OGs in there. So let's put T-Bird. T-Bird gets the call and Jerry gets the call. So here is this cast that I made. We've got final cast in the last minute here. Angelina, Carolyn, Cassidy, Chrissy, Suri, Jerry, Kelly Wentworth, Shan, Stephanie, T-Bird, Christian, Rick Devins, Jesse, Charlie, Q, Dominic, Sean Rector, Jonathan Penner, Ricard, and Rob C. There is my cast of Survivor 50. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed this. This was really fun to make. And as we get more info, I'm really excited to do more stuff like this. If you've made it through by some chance, please like, subscribe. I'm just starting this channel out, trying to get it into people's algorithms. So really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Can't wait. And enjoy season 48.